Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, Sejohn Sarowick. How are you, Sejohn?
I'm doing good, man. Feeling hyped up now. Thanks for that.
I have my brawler gloves on, because, so Mondays, me and some people, we get together for what we call Beat 'em Up Boys, and we play beat 'em ups on, like, Steam via online and such. And this week, I've been wanting to play Double Dragon Neon like crazy, and it's on sale this week. So it finally happened, and I busted out my brawler gloves to wear them while I played Double Dragon Neon.
Excellent.
So they were still
Fantastic.
in the studio because I beat him up a boy in the same chair that I record the Say Report, and I did not put them away. So yeah, I've got my brawler gloves on this episode.
Oh man. Well, I will try not to argue with you too much.
Well, yeah, the beautiful thing is that we're not in the same room, and also if we were in the same room, I'm not that type of violence, am I? Like, I have violent tendencies, but I'm not like I'm gonna beat you up while we record this podcast, you son of a bitch. Violent, am I? I mean, like, that's the thing a guy gotta know, if that's...
You're the one walking around in brawler gloves.
I mean, to be fair, they are just Bell biking gloves. I bought them for a Casey Jones costume 10 years ago. Oh man, maybe 12. And because
Nice.
he's got the cutoff gloves, but like
I was gonna say you got the cutoff situation going there.
Yeah, so I have
good.
finger dexterity. And like your knuckles are protected. I don't know if you've ever been in a fight. This is where we're starting from. But like in a fight, like
Can I plead the fifth on that?
you can plead the fifth of gin that got you to take a swing at that guy. Sorry. But like in a fight, your knuckles take the brunt of it regardless, winning or losing. So like having some coverage there is nice. And these Bell bike gloves, they're not a sponsor. This feels so much like sponsored content. But because I have them on, they have like padding at the area where your thumb and like that webbed area, what I like to call the bat wing of the hand, has like padding there. Because, like, if you're riding a bike, that's where your hands go on the handlebars. So it's, like, to add relief there. But it's also kind of nice to have there because, like, you make a fist and, like, I feel like I can fight anybody in these gloves. I'm going to take the gloves off. They've proven to be a distraction. I didn't think they'd be this much of a distraction. But literally, unless we want our 492nd episode to be the glove report, I gotta take the gloves off.
Man,
how you been, Sejohn?
I've been good at keeping my head down on all of Utah is right now with all this shit going on in the YouTuberverse.
Oh, I am totally... Let me tell you, I was not on vacation, right? I was sick, but I still didn't work for a week, and I still kind of needed a vacation from my vacation. I did, like, nothing this week. I mean, I did some things, and we're going to talk about them, but overall, I feel like I was just a bump on a log, and I didn't, like, go online or anything. So what's happening in the YouTuberverse that's affecting Utah, my friend?
Oh, no, Devin. Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
I get to tell you this story from the beginning. Okay. This is good. This is awesome. I feel like everybody's done one of these episodes this week, but that's okay. Oh, man. So there is a YouTube saga playing out right now that is taking place in a few different spheres of YouTube. The ones that I have been viewing it from, just so that everybody kind of understands where I'm getting my information from, is a lot more of like the legal like YouTubers. I've got a lot of YouTube shorts coming through. I've got a lot of recommended YouTube videos of various YouTube lawyers talking about all of the bits and pieces and angles of this particular situation. And so I've just been hearing a lot of like cold hard fact stuff. My opinions, we'll get to that. So there is a big old scandal going on in Utah right now that has blown up and has started to involve things like conspiracy with the police and like huge corruption, like loopholes.
Okay.
I mean, pitfalls like showing up everywhere. It's not good. It's really not. And the whole fucking thing is over Legos.
Oh, the bricks and minifigures thing? Is this what this is
Yeah.
about? Like,
Yeah, okay. You did hear some of
no,
this.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So like
So
do you know how much do you know about it?
I know that in the same plaza where the Trader Joe's and Panera Bread are on Bald Hill Road in Warwick, there used to be a little store called Bricks and Minifigs. And that was not the saddest store closure I was aware of this week, because also they closed the Smash Burger in that same plaza. I'm sorry. The just pour one out for
Yeah,
Smash
no,
Burger.
you know,
I've just
I
seen
guess
it.
I should do the
Yeah, like
I should do the obligatory like the way that Bricks and Minifigs works is that it's a franchise situation. So like the owners of a store in your part of the country are not going to be the same people involved with any of the workings in mind, which I think people have been trying to say is like don't like go fuck up a Bricks and Minifig because of this story. But like essentially. There's a Bricks and Minifig store in Salem, Oregon. It starts out that way.
okay.
and there is a family there that dad is going through some health issues, but he has been a huge avid collector of Star Wars Lego sets since the early 2000s. So they decide that in order to help with some of the health stuff, they're going to see what they can do with the Legos, right? They end up at a Bricks and Minifig in the area, and they start a consignment program with them. Sign a bunch of paperwork and contracts, and they check in from time to time. They get paid pretty regularly when stuff gets sold. Things are going pretty good for what I understand to be about like a year and a half. Like this is not like a new situation that suddenly went sour. Like this has been working for a year and a half. But something occurs that causes corporate to suddenly come in and just kick out the franchise owners and take over the store. And when I say this happens like instantly, I mean like it's pretty much within one day. Like the owners of this store supposedly get on a call with Bricks and Minifig, to do whatever regular franchise check-in kind of stuff they have to do, like in the morning. And they're talking about how they're thinking about how they kind of want to like maybe leave the store, but they're not sure. They're thinking about retirement, that sort of thing, right? By that night, there is a guy in there claiming he now owns the place, and they are trespassing, and they need to like get off the premises. It's insane what happens. And like in this, they have a specific conversation about the Star Wars consignment because it is huge. People have been saying something about like $200,000, and from what I understand, that is hugely overestimated. But at the end of the day, people are going to pay all sorts of crazy shit for memorabilia. Who knows what they could have gotten for it, right? But like, I guess the real number is more like fair market value is around like 109,000, I think is the last number I heard. But still, fuck ton of money.
Still a
right?
lot of
and
money
like,
for collectibles.
And so they have a conversation about this. Like, hey, I have this consignment with this guy still in place. I need to give him a call so that they can come and get their stuff. And the guy's like, oh, you don't have to worry about that because we're going to take over the consignment contract and stuff like that. So anyway, they get fucking escorted out, and it sucks, but the store's been taken over, right? The family has no idea any of this has happened. And so after a while, not getting any money, and like I said, they were getting it pretty regularly, at least enough for them to kind of realize they weren't getting it suddenly, right? They go and check out what's going on, and like the guys there are like, we don't know you. Who are you? And he's like, well, those are my Legos. And like, you have a contract with me about those. And they were like, that wasn't with us. That was with the last people. We don't know who you are. Once we took the store over, this all became ours. And like, what? That's not how that works at all, right?
No, we had a contract, and you might have taken possession of that contract, but not all of the product in the store.
Yeah. So the family tries to do what it can, going through whatever legal channels they can do. But, they can't afford to like push this, especially with the whole thing being about medical bills like that, which I think people keep losing in all of this is like these people were trying to pay fucking medical bills. The real moral of this story is our healthcare system fucking sucks. But anyway,
I can
there is this but yeah, so they do everything that they can, right? And they finally they're at wit's end, and so they somehow reach out. And I'm not clear if it's like because one of them is a fan or something, but they reach out to a YouTuber who's this young kid by the name of the YouTube name is Reckless Ben, right? And his whole thing, and it's actually kind of an interesting thing. His whole thing is that he is in a position right now to just kind of have nothing to lose. And so, because he's a young, like, I think he's like only 20, like 20-year-old white kid that has clearly grown up with a little bit of privilege. I'm not going to sit here and act like he's like a snob or anything, but this is the whole point of what he's doing is that he can kind of get away with shit that other people don't necessarily have the ability to, right? So this is the exact kind of situation that people would call him in for, right? He's gone undercover at cults to like find people. Like he's gotten, I think he had a series where he got a job at a place that was getting a lot of workplace complaints, and like he just filmed a whole bunch of shit and then quit and then showed it to everybody. Like the kid literally is like, I have the ability to go in and do this shit. Why don't we do something about it? So they call him.
I have to stop 1 second here. Just 1 second. This sounds like the show Tracker, but in real life. That's what this character, Reckless Ben, sounds like to me. Like
he's a doofy ass kid, because the other thing is that he's super naive, because every time the police get involved at any point in this story, he is flabbergasted at the way they behave, and he's like, I just kind of thought it would work differently. And it's like, nope. Like, yeah, but so they call this dude, right, and him and his team get involved, and they try and get what they can from the store, and the store is like, the store starts like making up bullshit about them, like lying about like bomb threats and things like this. So the police start getting called on him. Now, it's important to note that in Salem, Oregon, where this is taking place currently, the police kind of, they're a little feisty at first, but once they kind of catch wind of what's actually going on, they basically wipe their hands of it and are like, hey, this has become a civil dispute, and this kid is not doing anything criminal. You're being an asshole. So like they kind of step out of it, right? But what ends up happening is that the store closes down. They just close the store in Salem, Oregon. And so at that point, he does the next best thing. He figures out where the franchise owners would be, these new ones that came and took over. Turns out they live all the way the fuck out here in a big old plot of Mormon capitalism called American Fork is the name of the town. And so
that sounds like a restaurant. We're going down to the American Fork. They got barbecue special all summer long. Sorry.
Well, I think the idea is like fork in the road fork.
Oh, I get what it is, but it sounds like a restaurant, Sejohn.
Yeah.
Continue, sorry.
I think American Fork might be the place where the Dahmers made their terrible decision to like cut south around the lake in the worst time of the I think this might be where that happened.
Oh, it's like anyway, the Donner Party died because of this American Fork.
Yeah, well, I know too much about the Dahmers stuff. We should talk. We got to do Cannibal Musical sometime.
We were going to, but there was a strike on when it fell into our thing. I'd love to do Cannibal Musical. Are you saying Dahmer or Donner?
I keep saying Dahmer, but I mean Donner Party.
And like,
yeah, I know. So this kid gets involved. He's able to kind of get some like. Basically, they give up and run away in Oregon. So he chases out the owners all the way out here, and he starts just trying to go through the right legal channels here to do what he needs to do. Mainly, he approaches them, gives them an opportunity to do the right thing. They refuse to, so then he goes and he gets paperwork to begin the process of suing them. And he's like, I'm gonna do what I can to get as much information as I can. And these guys start calling the police on him. It's the same guys that did it in Oregon, but this time when they called the police on him, they're in their hometown in Utah. and things go much differently. Basically, at this point, the story goes that the cops are basically serving as personal security for this rich asshole that lives down in Utah, and he has been making up lies about what this kid has been doing. The kid's been arrested. He had his car searched for drugs that didn't exist. His
Oh my
Airbnb that
god.
he was staying at got raided because it turned out that the person that owned it was actually also part of this whole big group. And so the thing is that a lot of people hear this kind of shit going on and they're just like, oh my god, this is because they're Mormon, right? And it's like that's oversimplifying shit. the
I mean,
fact that there is a the fact that there is a common culture out here that they are all just brought up in and are a part of is definitely part of the problem, right? But like this kind of cronyism happens for all sorts of reasons. Let's not just like it feels a little like it's diminishing it by saying that this is just a Mormon issue, and it's like no, this is a cop issue. There just happens the
well,
connecting tissue just happens to be Mormonism. I
I
think.
feel like we say it's a cop issue. It's also a issue of the rich. I don't want to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about Marshall's, Yellowstone Marshalls, or Yellowstone Dutton Ranch until both of them are completed. There are 2 episodes left in the inaugural season of Dutton Ranch, and then I'll talk about my experiences with both of them. But a real big storyline. Marshall's is a police procedural that had Yellowstone grafted onto it. Dutton Ranch feels like the proper continuation of Yellowstone. I guess you get a little teaser trailer from me. But a big like storyline of Dutton Ranch is the fact that where they bought their ranch in Texas, Rio Paloma, is all kind of under the control of the biggest ranch in town, the Ten Pedal, which has been there for like almost 200 years. And there's a whole storyline with how like you're the sheriff, we're the ones who got you elected, you do what we fucking ask you to do. So as much as like a cab, man, all cops are bastards. I get that. I am thankful. I never thought I'd say that into a microphone or ever that I got pulled over once a month the first year I had my license, because that was a real fast crash course in like the legal system. And I also understand the privilege that I have as being a white person who got pulled over that many times and all sorts of things like that. But it really was something that, like, to be like, why would the police act that way? Well, because that's how they act sometimes. Or that's how they act when they perceive you as a continual problem. Right? When you
Yeah.
continue to annoy somebody, they start to treat you differently. You know all those cozy video games where like, oh, I buy her an apple pie every day and now I can propose to her. That works in real life too, but also in reverse. I don't know. I haven't played enough Stardew Valley, and I apologize, Sejohn, because you bought it for me. But like in Stardew Valley, you can't like go up to people every day and punch them in the mouth and then walk away. And instead of getting hearts, you lose hearts, right? Because I don't think that exists. That should be a thing in a video game. Where's that?
You can lose. Yeah, you can lose hearts by giving them the wrong thing, but that's
Okay.
that's a whole different thing.
But you can't ever go below
yeah.
0 hearts, right?
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
so
no.
like, yeah, that kid was already like with most police officers, at best you're starting at 0 hearts, and then if you start to annoy them, it goes down. It doesn't do that in video games, but it does it in real life. I'm sorry to do it, but it's just
no. It's just that the way the cops are behaving, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like to your whole thing about like cops. This is a huge cop problem. Is like the moment he gets pulled over the first time, he's not even driving, right? He's in the back seat of the car with his team, his crew. From what I understand, what he usually does is works with a lot more local people that are not necessarily involved with the situation, but they're like, they're fans that want to help him out.
videographers and yeah.
Right, exactly, yeah. So he's in the back seat of a car, right? That is got his whole team in it, and the car gets pulled over for not stopping at a stop sign, proven to not be true. There is dash cam footage that shows it clearly stopping, like that kind of shit, right? But the scariest part of this part of the story is they have the kid roll down the window, and then they immediately look to the back seat and they go, "Are you Ben?"
Oof.
And he's like, "Yeah." And then the dude just says, "Welcome to Utah." and it's just like the creepiest fucking moment. It is like straight out of a shitty
All I
like
can think of
action
is
movie, like
Porky's.
bad cop like move. It's the wildest fucking moment. And the kid is just like, and they that's when they search their car for drugs, and they hold them for like 3 hours while they literally pull every piece of the car apart. Like and
Like
then they
the
find
French
nothing, of course,
Connection.
obviously. Yeah, and then there's the whole saga of like they try and start to serve papers, and they get the owner calls the cops again, and they come and they take his side, obviously. And there's this whole back and forth about how, first of all, the girl that they hire to serve the papers, because technically if you're part of a lawsuit you cannot serve the papers, you need to have a third party that is, completely divorced from the situation,
Process
serve the
servers exist
papers.
for a reason. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And so in order to be a process server in Utah, you just have to be over the age of 18 and not be involved with the case, essentially. And like that's it. Like there's not really much more you need to, because you're not doing anything more than saying, "Hey, you've been served." Um
Oh man.
and so he asked somebody again, probably from what I understand, like a fan that is in the area and meets the qualifications. And so he's like, okay, so they're trying to claim that she was impersonating a like government official of some kind, and it's like that what? And the cops go with it. The cops are just like it's
Jesus.
crazy. And then there's this whole and then there's the element of they try and act. What was the other? There was some other stuff about the threats and violence and things like that. They put a sign up across the street to try and get him to come out that was like, "Hey, I steal from old people."
Cool. That's fun. That's a fun
and
sign.
like and but like there was this whole thing where the cops just kept getting called, and they kept just listening to whatever this rich dude was saying about this, and they kept trying, and then finally they arrest the kid. And like the kid has been in the middle of this like legal case now, and he's had to actually go quiet because of being arrested and all of that. But like he was straight up has been arrested for this. And so now all of these people all over Utah, it's not even about the bricks and minifigs anything anymore, because this story breaks at this point and goes in two directions. I've been watching the more legal side of this thing, which has to do with like him being arrested and the police corruption and all of that stuff, because that's really interesting to me. But on the other side of this is also like Lego YouTube and rich white kid YouTube, as it were, because that's Reckless Ben's crowd,
Yeah.
is you have a bunch of people that are looking at the actual like, hey, this is a YouTuber trying to do the right thing for people, and they're getting screwed. And this is like, it's like a big wake up call for a lot of people in that realm, that side of YouTube. CoffeeZilla actually ends up coming in like 3 weeks into the whole thing to like completely break down like where everything kind of went wrong and what happened. And then he ends up finding all of the information that proves that Bricks and Minifig has the Legos, knows where they are, knows their value. He finds like literal Excel documents from them that have all this
Oh, I'm
information in it.
sure.
And he's like, "You provided this to me. Did you know? Like, what do you have to say about this, this, and this?" And the guy is just like, I didn't know that was in there." like, but like I said, I've been following the police side of this thing. The redacted footage. That was the other thing, is that they get a bunch of footage released finally about the whole situation, because everything's starting to blow up, and a bunch of the shit's redacted, right? But the kid figures out that if you take video A and you take video B, they redacted different parts in the different videos. So if you just put them together, you have the whole fucking conversation. And so like he's able to show all of this shit that they redacted about how the cops are arguing, are technically arguing, I don't know what they call it, conversing, there's like a legal term, I guess, where about how they don't have anything on the kid, but they want to arrest him. How are they going to do it? What are they going to make up? There's like, what the fuck?
What a fucking
like,
thing to say and caught on camera. Damn.
yeah, it's crazy shit. So all of this has come out, right? And people in the area are understandably upset. They can't believe that their police are like this, blah, blah, blah. The thing is that now we have been getting this rather growing like flow of people talking about specifically the American Fork Police Department and the stuff that has happened to them over the years. And like there was a guy a few weeks back that got really big on YouTube because he screamed at a cop and was right. And so the police department had to come out and apologize to him for the way that things were going down. Turns out that was the American Fork Police. They had like pulled him over on the highway for being in the HOV lane, but the thing is that the HOV lane ends because there's an exit on the left. So the guy was like, I'm exiting on the left. And like, and the cop still gave him a ticket and gave him shit. And yeah. And it was like, okay,
Jeez.
that's like low level stupidity, right? But then there's like this other shit going on where apparently there was this fight between these two people in American Fork because they had somewhat similar addresses and packages kept getting mixed up. And there was this contention that the other house, I don't know how much you guys know about Utah, but it's a relatively new state in the grand scheme of things. So there's a lot of there's a lot of development still out here for houses and things like that, right? So somewhere in the course of them all living in this area, this house gets built and they end up having an address that is basically the other house's address, just like east versus west. And they're like, can you please switch something about your address? Which is, I guess, something you can do. And there's a back and forth between these families. The one doesn't want to do it, blah, 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 right? At some point, this escalates to the family that has kind of been the perpetrator this whole time, like calling the police and making up all of these lies about stalking and harassment about this family. Sound familiar? Like basically all you have to do is call them and say, hey, this family is stalking me. And it's basically code for them to be like, be all ears. Is like, this family is stalking and harassing us. Can you go do something about it? And the cops are like, well, are they like at your place of residence right now? And they're like, no. And the cops are like, all right, well, we'll figure something out. So they like do like this deep dive search on this family, fucking pulling up all sorts of shit, probably invading their privacy. And then they call them at like 11 o'clock at night. And the guy's like, I'm not talking to you. We're not doing anything. Like, and he hangs up the phone. And so the cop gets pissed. So he calls him back, and the guy doesn't even the guy picks up and then hangs up immediately. So this sets the cop off. He calls in all of his buddies. They go to the house. They start banging on the door. They start going and looking in windows, all like being like, you have to open up. You have to open up. And the family is inside losing their fucking minds. So they call the police on the police, and they say, hey, we need county guys out here like immediately. And like, so the sheriff's department has to get involved. They're not stellar either in this situation, but they're at least not like, once he shows up, once the sheriff shows up, or the guy from the sheriff's department shows up, he's basically like, yeah, we should probably cool it, guys. I think that maybe we need to just back off for tonight. It's no moment of like, hey, you can't do this. Just like, hey, maybe we should do this a different way, which is just like, what the fuck are you doing? So like, yeah, so all of this stuff just starts coming out about this police stuff. And so it's just been this huge thing in Utah now that everybody is kind of looking at and focused on. And it's been a little, it's been weird seeing everybody talking about us.
Oh yeah, no, that's, and first of all, you would know something about like mistaken addresses. I'm going to say that. It's not something that, like, it's a thing that I know you've had to deal with in other times. So we're going to start there. We're going to start at the low part that's connected. Then we're also going to do a little bit of Utah trivia. Utah is the 45th state admitted to the Union of the United States of America. It was done so on January 14th, 1896, which is my birthday. That's interesting that Utah's birthday is my birthday. Not 1896.
Mormons will tell you that
but the same
that they
numbers
were. Yeah, Mormons will tell you that Utah was fighting to become a state because there was no women's right to vote, and Utah wanted women to have the right to vote, and that was one of the big things about them becoming a state was the promise that would start to be moved forward, right? And it's not that there's not evidence of that conversation happening. There definitely was that, but really, Utah really just wanted to become a state, and the fight was actually more from the federal side, saying, "Hey, you guys got to knock it off with the like polygamy and child marriages." and like we aren't going to let you become a state until you put into your constitution, your state constitution, some type of measures about this kind of shit, because that's not going to fly in the United States. But Mormons like to act like it was them like kind of putting up the fight for women's rights.
You know what the best part of that is? The best part about that is that totally feels like a kid who got caught in the act of like breaking the rules and they came up with the perfect lie. Like, no, we want to be part of the United States so women can vote. And then like you look at it objectively and you're like, well, women do seem to outnumber the men here 4-1 based on all the polygamy. It kind of makes sense that they would want them to have the voice, because each man's wife is essentially an extra vote for that man. I don't love it, but this whole country was founded on the fact that a bunch of old white guys didn't want to pay their taxes. So, like, we kind of got to give it to Utah on this one. They know how to play the game of America.
Yeah.
Not to like, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying it's real fun to look back at history under the guise of playing the game of America.
Yeah. Oh man.
In
just been
slight
wild
news, the America 250th birthday celebration took place in the town I live last night. So, not that I'm hyper patriotic during this recording, but dear God, the fireworks display legitimately felt like an artillery shelling. It was insane. And I could hear it at my house, and it was happening in the center of town. Think about that. Like, it felt like
was that the did you? The America 250 shit has just got me so upset right now. But anyway, go ahead.
No. That's all I can say is that, like, that's one of the reasons I've been thinking about. Because there's been a lot of American 250 shit this weekend, which feels really on point, actually, for the game of America, if we're talking about it. But it's really just made me think a lot about things. Like,
yeah,
about
man.
our
I don't know,
country
man.
and stuff.
We
So I mean that
the craziest.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean I was going to talk about the bricks and minifigs thing and the fact that like they also unfortunately, and again I am not excusing it. I'm just talking about how, you know, if the store closes, like they need to read that consignment contract. Cause like that's the type of shit, man. Like all assets. I mean that's GameStop. For real. And I know GameStop doesn't really do things on consignment. First of all, I never realized that Bricks and Minifigs was Lego GameStop. And that's what I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you Lego fucking GameStop. Because that's what you're doing.
That is basically what they are. Yeah.
You're buying Lego bricks, you're buying sets, and you're selling them off. And occasionally you get something that's like incredibly valuable. But unlike GameStop, apparently Bricks and Minifigs knows this. So like that, like, so it's Lego GameStop, and in a lot of the GameStop stuff, there is the whole thing of like, if a franchise closes, all assets can be absorbed by corporate. So like them doing the way they did it might be a way, and I'm not saying it should be legal, even if it's in the contract. Like you're not acting in good faith if you say. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, we're going to put yourself on consignment. You give us something that's valued at a high enough amount. So we just close that store, assume all the assets. Like that'd be fucked up. But it's certainly a thing that has happened. There's precedent for it happening, which is kind of the grossest part about the whole thing.
I mean, the thing is with the bricks and minifig stuff is from the Lego side of it, the big thing now is that like, they got the kid arrested. They're trying to claim that there's a defamation lawsuit there for like $2 million that they could go after, and like there's all of this shit that they're talking about doing, and it's like, you guys are clearly the bad guys of this story. Take your fucking foot off the gas.
I mean, but that yes, they're the bad guys, but like they don't take their foot off the gas because eventually, like, it all works out. Like, it's so, look, this is one thing that I did this week, and the reason I'm bringing this up, I wasn't going to talk about it on the show, but your mention of the medical system really got me thinking, and then it also kind of ties into just like how corporations are kind of the fucking worst. Is the fact that, like, so I've been watching Welcome to Wrexham, the FXX docuseries about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, now Rob Mack, buying a football club in Wales. And I'm almost done with the second season, but the 10th episode, now, before I go further, I am going to say, there's one thing I don't really like about the show, and that is the non-chronological storytelling. Like, that is something that hits really strange, because they'll talk about how, we had this whole, like, run of 9 games where we had a bunch of injuries, and you're like, oh, fuck, that's really gonna fuck up what's been going on. And then it will be revealed that, like, oh no, all those happened before we were on our winning streak. It's like, this was a filler episode where we just talked about all the injuries that happened in January and February, even though we're currently playing in March. Like, they do that a lot. And like, so weird. From like a storytelling standpoint, like, if you're not paying attention to the dates, which I have to assume most people are not, you would have no idea, like, how this stuff is happening. I guess I do give them credit for the fact that they talk about the dates are always shown. They're not necessarily said, but the dates of the games are always shown. So if you're diligently watching and, like, aware of, all right, so our like the final of the cup is going to be on April 30th, and then they're suddenly playing games in January, you understand what's happening. But, like,
right.
we live in a world right now where, like, we've talked about how movies are kind of constantly recapping what has happened in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so it strikes a little weird. So the 10th episode of the second season is about the Gresford disaster, which is the most devastating mining accident that occurred in Wales, if not the world. Like, the thing's insane. And basically, because they had the new air filtration system, that air filtration system was also picking up natural gas. So as it continued to cycle through the mine, eventually so much gas built up that it caused an explosion, and it killed like it left 261 children as orphans without fathers. I think, like, the amount that actually passed away is, like, somewhere around 150. And it was a very interesting episode, but they're, like, in the final push for the thing, and, like, the Gresford game that the whole episode was about took place in September. So, like, it was one of the first games of the season, and now we're talking about it and we're focusing on it, even though, like, there's been 9 other episodes about this season so far. It's a little strange. But I bring up that Gresford incident because in the episode, they have a whole thing about, like, those guys who were down in the mine when this explosion happened and buried them alive. They all had their wages on them because it happened on a Friday. So they were, given their money, and, like, it was in their back pockets. So the families never saw that money. And the pay was like 7 shillings and 66 pence. Like, that was their pay for the week. And then adjusted for inflation, they tell us that'd be about $115. Now, follow me, because this has been kind of a long road, so I hope you're following me on this. And then Rob Mack and his father is there, right? Because they're visiting this place. They're trying to do something for the anniversary of this event happening. Because it was such a, like, defining moment for the town of Wrexham, was when the Gresford Auxiliary had this whole incident. Like, it galvanized and all that. First of all, the corporations involved were fucking assholes. They, like, denied, and ultimately only had to pay £145 fine for like this huge loss of death. Also, all of those people who were working when that accident happened, they were clocked out at 2 a.m., the next nearest to round hour after the event occurred. So like, even if you were down there and you somehow got out of it, you weren't getting paid for like being trapped in that whole thing and still having to work, right? Because you're trying to excavate yourself, you're trying to excavate others. Like, It's not like you stopped working, but you stopped getting paid. So these are just like things to think about. But then the really fucked up thing about this, right? The really fucked up thing about this.
More fucked up than everything so far.
Up. Yeah, right. Because like because I like thought about it, Alfred. I want to. Gresford mining disaster. It happened in 1934, right? This occurred September 22nd, 1934. The really fucked up thing about it is that in 1934, so like less than 100 years ago, one man going to work in the mines for less than 10 shillings a week was enough to provide for that whole family. They could have like families of 4. The wife would not need to have a job and things like that. And that's the thing that like all of this stuff is tragic. But then when you think about that in less than 100 years, having a job like doesn't take care of anything. Like really was a sobering thought that I have about it. Like they were doing back-breaking labor for far less than they should have been getting paid and compensated for, but they could still live their lives. They still had homes and families. It's not like those miners, like much to like add to the tragedy of it all, were single guys who were trying to make money so that they could settle down and have families, right? They were able to provide for more than just themselves on 7 shillings and 66 pence a week.
Wow.
And like we can't do that in 2026, right? Like people who have full-time jobs like struggle to make ends meet. And that's just sorry.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to, but it's like
no, I mean there's no true war but a class war. But you know, there is this idea that like all of this stuff is all kind of trickles back down to the same problem that you mentioned, the rich, right? Like the rich versus the poor. This idea that there's, you know, there is a multi-tiered justice system in this country, you know, and just consider, even at its most basic level, if you don't want to agree with the premise that all cops are bastards, you at least have to understand that, like, if we look at the ways in which we punish people, we have an entire system of punishing people that includes fining them. And if you're rich, that is no punishment at all, right? Like, because those fines are often never scaled to whatever it is that you actually make, right? My $160 speeding ticket might be half my paycheck for the week, but like that might just be just dinner for the night for you, or maybe the tip, you know, like, so like there's this idea that like we have an entire part of our punishment system centered around the idea that if you have enough money, you can do it.
Yeah, right. You know, it's not if I don't see it, it's not illegal. It's if I can afford the fine, it's not illegal. Because like, time is the most precious thing. If you break a law and then you have to lose time by being incarcerated, that is a far, far, far worse penalty than like give me $160.
Yeah.
That it's just a fact. It's just a fact of the matter. I don't know. That was like just a like these guys lived a hard life, but they had homes. They didn't own homes because it's England, so like only the very, very rich own land there. That's like the difference of America, is that in America you could own land. Emphasis on the could. I know that we still could, but it's very expensive now to own land.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is. But then, like, to also think that this person had to put their Legos up for consignment to pay for medical bills. Like, that's not a system that works. And the craziest thing is, we all know this system doesn't work, but how do you fix it? Like, it's really.
I mean, you would hope that there were those people that you were electing and putting money behind and all of that would be working to fix those things for you, you know, with you, whatever, however you want to look at it. But like, no, this generation has really had a roller coaster of experience with politics, right? Like, I mean, between the fact that like we have kids that are going to start voting.
When we say this generation, we're talking about the millennials, like our generation.
No,
that
I'm
we're
talking
in.
about.
We're
I'm talking about Gen
Alpha.
Z. I was about to say we're about to have we're about to have a bunch of kids start voting for the first time that have grown up in a world where Trump was the president. Even when Joe Biden was the president, Trump didn't go away, right? So they, as far as they are aware of how politics in this country looks, it looks like Trump. And like there's this whole idea that like that they're not, we don't know which way they're going to go with that, right? Because we don't know if that means that they're going to assume that this is just the way it should always be done. Because right now, it seems like there's a really big push against it, and maybe we'll get lucky and they'll actually realize like we don't ever want to be this again. But it's scary, right? And like I don't know, the ways in which that we are kind of all taking in news these days, right? The fact that this whole thing is blowing up on YouTube and becoming a thing, that there are some legit people talking about this. That when I say legit people, I mean within the privileged YouTube space. Like there is a whole section of YouTube that is just a bunch of dudes that made money on crypto real early, and so they've cashed out of life, and now all they do is they make 6-hour long streams of them like pulling pranks on their friends, or going to the mall and pissing off security guards, whatever the fuck they want to be doing because they're rich and they don't care, right? That section of YouTube does have its legit people within it that have learned how the system works, have made sure to conduct themselves like properly and things like that. There's a Is it Moist Critical, I think is the guy's name. Like he's got like 4 million followers, and like he's been following this Reckless Ben story because like to him it's just like this is how the police can act, right? And we're only noticing right now, much to the credit of a lot of these dudes, they are pointing out that like it's taking it happening to this rich white kid for us to figure this all out, right? Like which is the craziest like kind of like realization when you step back.
Yeah.
Is like this seems to be the thing that has the news stations out here finally talking about this kind of shit. This is the kind of thing that like it's like all it took was this rich white kid with a platform to finally get affected, and now suddenly everybody's aware of what's going on. And that's a sad commentary.
So, yeah, the worst commentary, the worst part about that commentary is that's the only way that we get change. Like, you're fine living in that bubble of protection where the police are essentially your private security force, but once they turn on another affluent white person, oh my God, we had no idea this was going on. How could you have no idea this was going on? You watched it happen. It just wasn't happening to you and to your people.
Well, and that's the idea, right? Is like that is the implied, unspoken like thought behind that. Is it's not you didn't think this happened. You didn't think this happened to people like you. You didn't care that it happened to anybody else. You didn't think it happened to people like you. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. This was I've had a pretty sobering week. I'm just going to say that. This was a sobering start to this episode.
Dude, I've just been basically like at work, like when I'm not on the phones, I am cycling through more and more videos about this. There's just there's been some really interesting stuff. Certain lawyers pointing out how like what the dude Reckless Ben is doing is not always necessarily the best choice, but also like, we do live in a country where people get to the point where they feel like this is the only choice, right? Is like drawing attention to it. We know that if you call out a company on Twitter, that there is a chance that they will respond, right? Or at least there used to be. I don't know about these days. Twitter's pretty much a wasteland from what I understand. But like the idea that like you put them on blast, right, is part of the whole kind of corporate capitalist culture now. Like people need to be prepared for that. People, like business companies, have entire social media departments now to make sure that shit like that doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's interesting to see this big kind of David and Goliath story kind of playing out, like, and I have a front row seat to it.
Yeah. I don't know. The ideal thing is that it enacts some sort of change, but I'd be very surprised if any sort of change came from this. Like, I remember when everybody was so obsessed with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, like, people like were watching it and commenting on it and watching YouTube videos about people commenting on it. And then it's like, and then what came of that? Like, what was the ultimate outcome of it? There's also, you talk about the fines, right? Even when the fines are scaled up, very rarely is that what the person has to pay, right? You have to spend, to pay $2 billion in damages, which, yes, you can afford, Mr. Elon Bezos. That's a fictional character, you see. So I'm not talking about either of them. But they could do it, but then they go to another court.
Wayne.
Yeah. They go to another court where they're like, all right, so that's what you were ordered to pay. Let's talk about a more realistic amount of money we expect you to pay on this. Mm-hmm. Like those backroom, and those don't happen for everybody, right? Those only happen for the people who can afford it. Do they have a discussion about like, all right, so it's crazy that we asked you to pay an amount of money that you definitely could get your hands on before the end of the week. So why don't we, carve it down to $100 million?
I think they've made this illegal now. God, I hope they have. But there was also some type of loopholes in the past where like, if you could prove, or if you promised to put so much towards like taxes, that they would like include that in the fine sum, right? Yes. But then companies then figure out ways to say that like, oh well, we technically paid this tax already, so we don't owe you anything now. And it's like, no, you haven't paid this tax yet. What are you talking about?
I mean, like, let's talk about. I love Cheers, right? I love that every statement starts this way whenever I'm talking about stuff. But like, I do love Cheers. One of the big jokes about Norm Peterson is that like he's a bad accountant because he's honest. Like, so often he gets fired from his job because they're like, oh, they wanted me to do like a tax like haven and for this company, and they wanted me to spread it all out, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's illegal. So they fired me. Like, that's the story that happens. But then also, Norm Peterson, trained accountant, when he's doing it for his friends, when it's not for like the big corporations. There's the episode where like he needs a job, so Sam hires him to do his taxes for the year, and he gets him back like a 5-figure refund from the IRS. And Sam doesn't trust it. So he goes to his regular accountant, and then Norm's like, that's because your regular accountant's like, he's a weenie. He's not willing to do these things that are like cutthroat and what we believed accountants are still doing to this day, right? For me to act like they're not. I've had some sobering discussions about like how businesses keep themselves open. And what their accountants tell them to do in the past couple of years. That's just like, oh, that's fun information. Thank you for sharing it with me. I think that means that you've made me culpable if anything were to ever happen with your company. Thanks for that legal responsibility. But like, yeah, like that's what they do, right? None of these companies that are quote unquote built, based, and bred in America, like your Amazons or your Microsofts, they're not paying the same taxes that you and I are paying, right? They're making it look like they're making no money. You know why Amazon's so hip to return everything that gets sent their way regardless? Sorry, Amazon, please don't come for me. But then they get to count those as losses, and the losses then count against their profits, which means that they get to say they made a lot less money than they actually made. Because of just how the accounting looks on paper. We've talked about Hollywood accounting, but guess what? It's all crooked.
Oh yeah, no, Hollywood accounting is just like a more customer facing result,
Yeah.
right? Like it's easy for us to look at like how much I pay to go to the movies and how much that movie made and how much that movie cost to make and all that, and then for them to turn around and say, oh, that one didn't make any money, so we're going to count it as a loss on our taxes. And you're just like, now wait a minute, you're telling me the $1 billion movie this year actually didn't make you any money? Avatar.
After all of the marketing and distribution and some of the theaters that were playing it, we had to pay to retrofit in the projectors to even play the movie. So like that's just counted against. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, maybe it happened, but I don't think it did. I don't think that it did.
At least not at the scale they claim.
Not
right?
at the scale they're claiming at all. Yeah, I don't know. Speaking on that, so Toy Story 5 came out 2 days ago. I don't know anything about it, but I tried to go see it. It was a holiday, right? Juneteenth is a federal holiday. So I tried to go see it on Juneteenth, and every theater was sold out. And I'm talking like the really early ones and the really late ones. And it made me think, and I'm just sharing this. I don't think there's any truth to it. But like the way that people talk about Disney just buys up theaters worth of tickets so that it looks like their movies did well. And then like that's part of the marketing budget, right? Like the oh holy marketing budget that we're never allowed to know how much marketing went into a movie. Like the numbers that these tickets were sold at. Come on, I like an early morning movie. I was trying to see Scary Movie this morning at 9:20 a.m. and that just did not happen for me. But I would love to go see a 9:20 a.m. Scary Movie. I like to be in the theater and the picture starting before 10 a.m. if I can make that happen. Yes, I am an 80-year-old man. You saw a 9:50 a.m.? Nice. Yeah, like that's awesome.
Yeah, when I saw it, it was I went over to the DMV and did some adult shit, and then I went to the movies to go see Scary Movie 6. It was pretty awesome.
So I'll be seeing it shortly. I don't think I'll be seeing Power Ballad or Pressure in theaters because they're both gonna be like VOD streaming either this Tuesday or next Tuesday. So that's a sobering thought. Also, I think Masters of the Universe might be available at home now too. Because Amazon's done what they do. I mean, Amazon claiming that that's their whole business plan, though, is that everything that we made in theaters is just a cherry on top of what we'll make ultimately from the streaming revenues. God, the words that are coming out of my mouth make me feel dirty, Sejohn. That's just what I'm gonna say.
Did you hear Bezos' quote this week, just because we're talking about Amazon, where he was like pissed that he can't tell people at the Washington Post what to do like he can at Amazon?
That doesn't surprise me.
They won't listen to me over there. It's like,
Jeff Bezos should have a sit down with Barry Weiss because she's apparently cracked the code. We need to stop. We're getting a little bit too political here. Which this whole episode has been that. And honestly, I don't really mind if we do. But, like, I did not need to bring Barry Weiss into this situation. She was a clue on Jeopardy! And, like, you could see that Ken did not like having to read the clue about her. Like, and then I'm sitting there ultimately thinking, like, and this is what it was all for, so that you could someday be a clue on Jeopardy! I hope it was worth it.
Oh man,
sorry, but it's a disheartening sort of situation, just all over. But it made me like the numbers that they were sold at. Because usually one of the other reasons I like going to early morning pictures is because you don't have a lot of people there, right? People generally don't think of before 10 a.m. as a time to go to the movie theater. At least that's been my experience. And
well, especially for certain types of movies, like
Yeah.
like Scary Movie 6,
Right.
for instance. Yeah.
right, like a kids movie, yeah, maybe there's a little bit more wiggle room there. But the seriously, the level that they were sold out, I'm just like, this is what makes people think that Disney's just buying these tickets. Cause
Yeah.
yes, it's a holiday, but it's also like schools aren't out yet. It's so weird that some schools in Rhode Island are going to be in until June 30th because of the blizzard shutdowns and stuff. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like I was out on Thursday. I went out to the bar and there was a big retirement end of school party. And I'm like, congratulations for you guys. Also, though, you were still in school until the 18th of June. That's like a full-on week longer than you usually are. Like, that's nuts. It's just crazy to me to just... Oof. So there aren't kids running around here. It's been weird. Like, all the bunnies are having sex now because it was too cold for them to have sex in the spring. Like, it's real
Yeah,
weird.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's super weird.
Oh man, we're about to burst into flames. In fact, we've already had our first fire. Well, not the first fire of the fire season, but the first mountain fire of the season, which is wild to see. Like, there are forest fires and then there are mountain fires, and the mountain fires are weird because like you're basically looking at it, watching it just kind of slowly move across the landscape. Like, forest fires, you kind of just you see the aftermath of, but
Yeah.
like mountain fires are just there for you to see the whole time. And it's like, yeah, you have to sit down and eat dinner while right outside your window you're watching the world burn down.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was one of the other things about like the fireworks last night is that like we've been super dry, like real drought stuff, and it's like don't have campfires, don't do this, don't do that. But we could set off every firework in Coventry, Rhode Island tonight. Like, it'll be fine. There won't be an errant spark or ash. Jeez. All right. You want to talk about something fun? You want to do a little bit of fun talk? for
Yeah,
like
man.
maybe the next half hour. I have spent the last, I guess, 3 days, not as much time as I wanted to. That's what I'm going to say. But I have spent some time with the new Square Enix game, The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. Are you familiar with this game at all? Is where I'm going to start.
No, but I'm looking it up right now
Yeah.
because I mean I love a good Square Enix game.
And it's a Zelda. Like, I'm just going to straight up say that Elliot is a Zelda. And it's an awesome Zelda. And through playing Elliot, I identified my biggest issue because I had a theory as to what didn't work for Mina the Hollower. And I've been talking with other people who played it and just having discussions, and I've been just collecting data. And I know that my data set is only indicative of my microcosm. It does not mean anything for the larger like scope of the game and how people are enjoying it. Most people do not want to speedrun the game. That is the thing. They think that the game is just too long. So like I said, bingo stuff. We talked about that. The world record, last time I checked, is 59 minutes and 1 second, which is just insane. And it has a lot of use of the fishing rod in order to skip things. I think you skip like 3 boss fights, like all is said and done. And that's not just all fishing rods, right? Like I was watching the speedrun, and there's really impressive movement tech in it. And there's technically no out of bounds. But there are a lot of things where when you're like, once it loses the like thread of the game, that's when I start to question the validity of the speedrun. Yeah, like skipping the boss of the Astral Ornery. That feels like you're missing the thread of the game. Skipping the boss of like the beach boss, not having to do that feels like honestly. And this game, I don't know. Am I allowed to spoil Mina for you? Like the audience will have to deal with whatever I say. But are you okay if I do a small spoiler for you about Mina the Hollower, Sejohn? Like, I don't know if this is... Yeah, okay. So... At the end of the game, before, like when you get to the final, like Ganon's tower, you go inside to confront who the ultimate boss is, And he accuses you of all these crimes that you committed while you were, quote unquote, saving the world from the generators that you built. And it's stuff like being mean to kids, or, the first dungeon, you fight the Duchess. You fight the ghost of a Duchess. And while you're in the crypt, you find the Duke, and he's still alive. And after you beat the Duchess, if you bring the Duke with you to the final chamber, he opens like a secret passage, and it reveals the actual like tomb that the Duchess's body is in. And the Duke requests of you that you seal him inside of the tomb with his beloved, with the remains of his beloved. And if you do that, you get an artifact. You basically get a 1-up that like you can use every time. Like if you die, it will bring you back to life immediately. If you do this, and then you can still talk to the Duke through the tomb, and he says stuff like, "Oh, I didn't think about like the lack of oxygen here," and then eventually he doesn't respond at all. And if you do that during this final sequence where everybody's like celebrating that the generators have been restored, and then you're accused of all these crimes, one of the crimes is you sealed a youth in a tomb and allowed him to die, essentially like murdering that boy. Like, these are the type of things that they blame you for. And if you're able to get through the game committing none of these atrocities, and like I call them atrocities, but if you break any candelabras or street lamps while you're playing the game, you will fail in this mission of trying to avoid any guilt within the game. There is a secret ending for the game if you can play it without any sin. And like some of these ways that you ultimately skip boss fights legitimately feel like they may have been intended by the developers to give you an option of like avoiding committing any sort of atrocities. Instead of killing Jabu Jabu, like you found a way to just get onto his back without going through his blowhole. So like that's a nice thing. But yeah, you skip 3 bosses. They skip the boss of Bone Beach, the Mind Mine. They skip the Nox Bayou Beast, and they skip the that's called the Congealed, because it's a bunch of people who like magic turned them into like gooey men, and then they all combined together to form like a xenomorph. So like we're talking Mean of the Hollower right now, because I want to talk about Elliot, because Elliot has been fantastic. I recommend Elliot to everybody. If you're looking for a good 2D Zelda experience, Elliot is your fucking jam. And it controls so buttery smooth and all of that. But Mina, as I have found and as I have heard from others, once you pick a direction, you're kind of married to that direction. Like, you want to get to the end of it because that will dump you out back at where you started. There's very little reward to backtracking if you get caught while you're exploring in Mina. There's no, like, homeward bone to take you to the main village. Apparently, there are modifiers that will allow you to fast travel and things like that, but the game, as it is presented with 0 modifiers, you would have to walk back. You'd have to unlock a shortcut that would take you back maybe some of the way, maybe all of the way. Like, these things do exist, but very rarely, if you're given the choice behind, I need to go back, or should I push forward and hopefully find a save point, find a shortcut home, find some item that changes where I am right now, like, going forward is the more valuable, like, choice. There's very little value to backtracking. And I say that as someone, I've watched somebody try to go through the bayou and hit dead ends twice, and then, like, have to navigate back to the town to go off in another direction. And it's just like, at what point do you like, I need to try to figure out this bayou because I'm here? Like, right. It's just one of those situations. Elliot The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tale, which I'm just going to refer to as Elliot from now on. I could call it The Legend of Huria, because you do befriend a princess whose magic is responsible for keeping the kingdom safe. Right from the beginning, you start unlocking, and you're told what you're looking for. You're an adventurer, right? Elliot's this grand adventurer who is like conscripted by the king to go explore a ruins, because the last time that Minister Kyfried did an expedition into ruins, his entire squadron was killed and only Kyfried survived. Ooh. So, like, we don't trust this guy who's ultimately going to become the villain, right? Like, that's what you're painting this character as. First of all, he's got Minister in his name. But once you set out from the town, you start finding adventurers' guideposts. And they don't do much in the beginning, but eventually you're given a bell. And these golden bells used to be carried by adventurers to guide them on their way. And you find that part of that ancient magic that these guideposts come from is tied to, if you have a golden bell, you can warp to any of them that you've interacted with. So, like, there's this nice thing about Elliot where, like, oh, I went the wrong way. And the game is not quiet about that. The game will be like, it seems like we've hit a dead end. And then you warp out of it. And then there's like a little, while you're walking, like to the next thing, there'll be a little conversation between Elliot, and it starts with Princess Huria being like his disembodied companion via magic that is cast on their earrings, before you eventually find the Navi of the game, Faye, who is the little fairy that nobody else can see. And they'll say things like, even though we weren't able to do anything further in the ruins right then, we should return once we have like different items or are in a different age. Because Elliot, in addition to being a Zelda, is a chrono trigger. And I know that, like, that's a weird thing to do. That's
wild.
But it's a Square Enix game. So let's compare it to, let's look at all of the toys they're playing with in this, right? Honestly, it's more of a like Secret of Mana meets Chrono Trigger in terms of things. But you don't have a party, which is why it feels more like a Zelda. Because, like, as much as I enjoy Kingdom Hearts, like, you have to be monitoring Goofy and Donald while you're playing as Sora. I don't have to worry about anybody but Elliot, and that is really, really nice. But yeah, so like the first ruins that you explore, you find an old book and the Key of Time. It's just called the Key of Time. And earlier they found ruins that ended in a doorway that was locked that looked like the Key of Time. So they're like, first of all, they live in a world, it's called Philadelphia, which I think is the greatest name for like a fantasy thing ever. Like, why is it called Philadelphia? Because it is, just deal with it. But it seems like it's a world that is set thousands of years after our world. Because everybody's understanding of time travel seems to be inspired by Back to the Future. Which is just super funny. Like, everybody's like, oh no, if he goes back and changes thing, what will that mean? Like, and it's all like, this is just Back to the Future. You guys are just doing Back to the Future. And I'm fine with that. It's clearly the most famous time travel story ever told. But I don't believe anyone here has seen Back to the Future, yet if you told me the only historical document that survived from the world before our world was Back to the Future, I would buy that. I would believe you. So yeah, so Elliot's got to go through time. You start in the age of safekeeping, because the princess is constantly casting a magic spell to keep the one kingdom protected from the tribes of beastmen that, you know, like, patrol the world and constantly try to attack the humans for various reasons, of which I do not know yet. Then the first time you go back to is the Age of Restoration, and it's the time where the hero king is from, and he's out there exploring and finding a way to eventually bring the kingdom to safekeeping. And then where I immediately got to before starting the recording today is the Age of Magic. So, like, you know, Zeal, the Kingdom of Zeal from Chrono Trigger, if we're going to use that as an analog, where, like, magic is everywhere. And it's pretty great. And I don't know, like, there's different weapons for him. Like, it really, the closest analog to Elliot is Mina. And straight up, Elliot just feels like it's doing it all, like, the proper way. And I know that seems weird, but I mean, like, modern quality of life stuff, respecting the time of the player. Like, there's difficulty levers in Elliot. If you think that it's too easy, you can go on a harder difficulty. And really all that's going to affect is the combat. So if you need like a ball-breaking combat in order to feel engaged with the game, go for it. Also, I do like, so Faye the fairy, she can resurrect you, but it costs money to do that. And it starts at 150 and it goes up every time. In normal and hard mode, once you get back to a guidepost, the count resets back to 150. But on very hard mode, every time you resurrect, the cost goes up. And it can, so like sky can be the fucking limits as to how much it would cost to resurrect yourself. And I don't know, like there's auto save. It's just, it's been a great experience. And I don't know anybody who's really playing it, anybody who's like, who's interacting with it. Like you hadn't even heard of it. And it seems like the type of game that would be right up your alley.
It does. It 100% does. I've already wishlisted it on Steam. I'm going to see, yeah. And fantastic.
I mean, it's the 2D HD. It's beautiful, and it controls like a dream. Like, Mina's you're stuck, sort of, to, like, so much of it is stuck to 4-way direction, except for traversal tech. Like, you can only attack in 4 directions, but you can move 8-way, which is very like, why? Why are the two things not the same? And then there's one weapon that can attack in 8 directions, but only from a distance. I don't know. Like, it's really playing Elliot and loving Elliot the way that I have. Like, just continuing to do it and, like, oh, I want to play more Elliot. Like, there's no moment where I'm like, I guess I like it. I guess I'll play some more. Like, everything I do in it is, like, pulling me back to it. Like, there's, like, the mechanics of, like, how Magicite works, the fact that you find upgraded weapons out in the world. Like, it's just such a beautiful experience. And I'm bummed that it doesn't seem like anybody's messing with it. So I'm recommending The Adventure of Elliot, the Millennium Tale. Because it is... I care so much about these people. I'm invested in their lives.
Oh, yeah, man. No, I mean, that's really cool. It looks fantastic. Like, the look of it is gorgeous. Because, yeah, it's that 2.5. But there's also... I mean, just the texture and sprite work is just gorgeous.
Yeah. And I'm excited because, like, I mean, like, Octopath Traveler was 2.5 HD and all that stuff there. So it's been out there. It's not like it's new, but...
No, but this is them. They are the ones that did Octopath, isn't it?
Yeah, they are the ones who did Octopath. But it's very rare, like, once they got that style, they started remaking so many of their games in that style to re-release them. So it's nice to see a brand new game in that style. Like, don't get me wrong, I've loved my time with the Dragon Warrior games, right? The Dragon Quest stuff. But, like, they're games that I've played before that have this fresh, shiny new paint on them. This is a whole new experience, and it's a good gameplay loop. It's lots of fun. I don't know. Like, I want people to play it, and I wanted to share that. Like, that's kind of the big thing I did this week, which also meant that I was most assuredly in kind of a holding pattern until it released on the 18th. Like, I'm waiting for this game to come out. When's that game gonna come out? Game, is that you?
That's I'm glad that you were able to find something, man. I've funny enough, speaking of Zelda likes, I've been diving like deep into Blossom Tale. I never really had gotten around to finishing up the sequel and stuff, and so I'm playing the first one again, and then I'm gonna roll into the sequel after that. So that's been pretty fun.
Yeah, Blossom Tale is
just
a great one.
Rediscovering that game.
I beat the first one. I never finished the second one. I'll admit that about it.
Yeah.
It's that same thing where, like, and Blossom Tale took me a couple of plays to, like, get into it. Because eventually you get to a point in that game where you're just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm okay with that, but it's just, if the game is like...
There's not enough signposting in Blossom Tale. I agree. I 100% agree. There's a lot of times where you'll see on your map how like a square that you need to get to, right? But you haven't been there yet, and the way to get there is not intuitive at all, and not well signposted. So yeah, I definitely have hit a few of those moments as well. Even replaying, I've been like, wait, where the hell is this supposed to be again? And like, oh, that's right, you need to go down to go up for this part. Fucking like, and that is definitely a little aggravating from time to time.
Yeah. And again, like, that's what old games used to be and things like that. And a lot of that times in Blossom Tale, when I hit one of those, like, I need to figure this out and it's not telling me, I'll keep going. It's just that, like, occasionally you get tired of it, right? Like, oh, I just made progress. And then immediately hitting another dead end, it's like, it's like the strike system, right? You have enough strikes before I'm going to be out. And, like, hopefully the game's engaging enough that I'll come back. But Blossom Tale is one of those ones where, like, if I walk away from it, it's very unlikely that I'm going to walk back and play the game. That's just a fact right there. All right. Anything else you want to make sure we talk about this week? Like, I'm feeling pretty good. I have to be a human being again. I feel like I've just been a degenerate.
I mean, I'm continuing on my my Batman adventures.
Nice.
I wrapped up Origins, did end up going back to it and finishing some stuff up. I forgot that there's really like no ending to that. There is a Origins. I forgot that there's a door in that I found when I first was playing the game. And to this day, I still can't figure out what it's related to. But it's a locked door that you can see on like the side of the on the side of Gotham, like when you can kind of dip down under the shore and stuff. It's really weird. It looks like it might have something to do with the church, but the church is on the other side of town. It's very bizarre. So I might be going back to Origins just to kind of like go down that path with that mystery. Because I also, from what I can tell, I can't find anything about it online. So I'm wondering if it's just like maybe cut content or something. But anyway, I went right from Origins though, and then I was like, I'm really itching to keep playing these Batman games, but I don't know if I necessarily want to play them in order. Asylum is not really my favorite one. It was my least favorite of the original three. I love Arkham City. It's my favorite one, and then Arkham Knight. By the time everything kind of settled and I've gotten my time with that game and played it more than once, Arkham Knight is just such a good like distillation of just everything about that series into one game. I just think that it suffers from being a little bloated, and so because of that, I think Arkham City is a little bit of a better experience. And you know, there's a finite point in Arkham City where I finally start feeling like a badass, right? As we talk about, like where you get towards the end of the game and you want to feel like you know you can do everything and anything. Like there's a finite point of that in Arkham City, and I really appreciate that. Arkham Knight feels like that point may be there, but it is much too far into the game, right? And so it because of that, the game feels just a little bit too big for its bridges. So yeah, Arkham City, then Arkham Knight, and then Arkham Asylum was always kind of my least favorite of the original three, just because it just was. It was almost like a proof of concept for what Arkham City then became. Like it was a fantastic like prologue to that story, but everything felt like it was all leading to Arkham City.
I don't know. I feel like Asylum worked for me because of how compact it was. A very linear game, I'll admit that, but everything in Arkham Asylum felt like it was part of the story and what was going on. And then, City is where it started to feel like I specifically played it without the Catwoman stuff the first time through to see how complete the game felt without that. And, not very, but also it was like still a lot of game and still felt very big and kind of bloated to me, the world of Arkham City. And then by the time I got to Arkham Knight, I'm like, where am I? What is going on? Why did the Riddler build a bunch of Mario Kart 64 tracks?
Origins has always been this weird kind of, bastard step sibling to the other ones, right? But because it wasn't made by Rocksteady, even though it's based on their characters, it was made, I think, Splash Damage, the guys that have been doing a bunch of the other ports of the Arkham games and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think I'm getting that right.
I believe you're right. I don't know,
but Rocksteady was not the main developer on it for sure. And so because of that, like it's clunky. It doesn't necessarily have the same kind of heft that Arkham City does. In a lot of ways, it does. It tries to be Arkham City and just it fails. But at the time, it did also have a much bigger map than Arkham City, and that was always really interesting to me. And like, there's just I don't know. There's it's not nearly as complete. It's not nearly as full. It feels like you're playing a game made in the style of, but not necessarily in the world of, right? And so like it still sits there, I think, for me. So I went back to it. I'm glad I did. I did more, I think, this time than I did the
Nice.
last time I played it, but I still don't think it is. I still don't think it's my favorite. I don't think it's one of the good ones.
Well, I mean, I think they went the right way. So looking at it, it looks like WB Games Montreal took over development duties from Rocksteady.
Is that what it was?
And
Okay.
that was because they were so busy with Arkham Knight, they couldn't have done a game for a considerable amount of time. I think they went also the right path with a prequel. I love a good prequel because then, like, it doesn't affect the story going forward. Like,
No, but there is definitely it does lead to some weirdness where they introduce things or don't introduce things, and you're just like, why is this not happening?
why hasn't
If
this
we
been
know that
brought up?
this is
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Or it
But
makes promises that it can't fulfill. Like you meet so for anybody that remembers the Penguin model from the Arkham games, his monocle is actually a glass bottle that has been broken and shoved into his face. It's a very Arkham is very edgy, right? Like that's their whole fucking thing. Rocksteady's whole style is edgelord Batman. So like that yeah, so that's what his thing is, right? When they introduce him in Origins, he does not have that yet. He does have just a normal monocle. And so there is kind of this whole thing where you're just like, "Oh, do we get to see what happens to like make no." Pretty much you meet the Penguin for like one scene and he's gone and it's a bummer, right? Like there's a lot of that sort of stuff, right? Where you're just also I know that they're video games and they have to be video gaming, and I know Arkham City and Arkham Knight and Arkham Asylum, they go over the top with like their comic booky things that happen, right? There is some stuff in Origins that is just insane to think about. One of the plot lines in Origins is the Joker plot line, and he takes over a hotel in Gotham, right? But keep in mind that, as Devon said, this is a prequel. Arkham City's not going on. This is just regular ass Gotham. He has somehow managed to take over this hotel and put up all sorts of jokery decorations and Christmas like Joker stuff everywhere. He's been able to like break down walls and create his own little like carnival room in one of the areas. Like how has this there's no way that this happened tonight when he supposedly took this place over. As far as we could tell, like this must have been a thing that had been going on for a while, but by all indications in the story, he has taken over the hotel that night, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening?
well, the Joker is rich. Let's just say that last terrible part of it. So if he wants something done, like you're a contractor in Gotham, you get a call from the Joker to be like, I want to remodel this hotel to be the Joker hotel. I just took it over. Like, first of all, you shouldn't take that job, right? Like you shouldn't like you shouldn't take a job working for the Joker in Gotham City, but I'm sure people do. Cause what other choice do you have? They all live in abject poverty in Gotham City. Man, this was a sobering episode.
Man, I had a buddy once that was a roofer. You know? I got offered this job and I said no way, but he took it right up.
He knew it was happening. Thank you for that Clerks reference. I appreciated it. It's not necessarily where I was going, but like I think about how Prince definitely wrote songs for the Joker in Batman 89. Like Jack Napier called up Prince, the artist currently known as Prince, and was like, hey, you're Prince, I'm the Clown Prince of Crime. Can you write me some music for when I'm doing my crime? And Prince was like, yes. It's I don't know. It's just Little Red Corvette and what the fuck, Prince? Working for the Joker? The Joker? Oh, man. Well, these are the thoughts that go through my head. These are the things that keep me up at night. Oh, gee. I'm trying to think of anything else that happened this week that's like worth mentioning. I think I'm good. I think like it was a lot of Elliot and then like not a lot else. Oh, Double Dragon Neon. Double Dragon Neon. I replayed Double Dragon Neon. I mentioned that at the beginning. What a good game for a game that came out in 2012.
Yeah. No, like with all beat 'em ups, I suck at it, so I've only put about 30 minutes into it where I got aggravated that I couldn't get anywhere. But I think that if you're up for playing it with me, I definitely go back into it.
Gladly would play it with you. Sorry I did not have the opportunity the last couple of days. But yes, that is a game I will play through with anybody and everybody. So if you get Double Dragon Neon, it's currently like $4 on Steam. Reach out to me. I'll do a playthrough with you. Because here's the other really crazy thing. Game comes out 2012. Maybe 2013. Right? 2012, 2013. Now let's get the actual release date of Double Dragon Neon. So that I don't sound like an idiot on this show. I do that enough when I just try. Let's try to be right about this. Double Dragon Neon. Released in 2012, September 11th, 2012. And I said I'd never forget. Holy fuck, I hate myself. But yeah, came out in 2012. Has a robust online multiplayer option. So I don't know, man. I just don't know why some of these games don't have it. Because they figured it out in 2012. Like, I know I'm a broken record on this stuff, but come on.
I mean, when did Shredder's Revenge come out? At this point, that's also getting like to be like what, 6 years ago?
Oh my god, I don't even want to think about that. But Shredder's Revenge released. Oh, thank you for T Lopes. 2022. So it's 4 years old.
4 years ago.
But still, like.
But yeah. I mean, like it's been 4 years since that, and and all we have seen is people trying to chase that dream and not achieve it. So there's clearly something.
Yeah, it's very true. Right? Like River City Girls 2 was delayed so that they could have a good online, and I don't know. I don't think I've ever played that one online. That's a hard game to get people to buy because the price is still up there, and it's like objectively not a great game. It's a lot of bloat in there. We want to talk about bloat in video games. That's another good one to talk about. Marvel Cosmic Invasion was really good online. But again, I think it's the same people. Like it's either .emu or it's Tribute Games that worked on that, so they have whatever the sauce is. Because Streets of Rage 4 has good online. The only thing is that it can only be 2-player. It's 4-player local co-op. It's 2-player online. But then they built on that and were able to have 6-player concurrent online for Shredder's Revenge, which is crazy. And then Marvel has 4. But 8 characters, because everybody controls 2 characters in that game. I don't know. But like it was real fun to be like, I've wanted to play Double Dragon Neon with you. We can use like the Steam Connect of it and everything, like whatever that's called. Steam Play, is that what they call it? Where you like play? I'd play on your Steam, but
yeah, I think something like that.
Like yeah. Mm-hmm. Like so, we're like we'll play it via Steam Play, and then we booted it up, and we're like, oh no, this has online. Let's try it. Now, it's a difficult situation. Like it has to be one of those situations where you're with your friend, and you're like, all right, we're gonna start. I'm gonna create a game now. You start searching for a game at the same time, so we can get in at the same time. Because it doesn't have the best, like, invite system. It doesn't play nicely with Steam to invite someone to play with you. But if I create a game and you search for a game right at the same time, there's a good chance we're going to wind up in the same game. But yeah. Wow. But it's just, it was a reminder of, like, that whole time in the 2012s, the 2010s, but 2012, like, very specifically, where we're like, we're going back to the 80s aesthetic of neon and extreme.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, man.
So, yeah.
But yeah. Shit. Yeah, no, I put some time into it. I would not mind going back with a friend.
Yeah, I'd love to go back to that one with you. I did a little bit of power leveling for my own game, but I'd start fresh with you, Sejohn. I will just be honest with you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no worries. All right, cool. So anything else, or I think we're ready to go. Let's say goodbye to this one. Send it off.
Yeah, I think we're good to let this one go.
All right, cool. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can join our Discord. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Just navigate to our bio section. There'll be a link you can click on, get an invitation to join the Discord, and you can start having so much fun with us in the Discord, make you go crazy. If you're not on social media, but you still want to join the Discord, send an email to us, thesayreport@gmail.com. We can facilitate you with a link to join the Discord. Or if the Discord is too much like social media, which again, we totally get, there's a conversation that Sejohn and I have to have that we haven't had yet. You can just email with us. We'll respond to your emails. Send them to thesayreport@gmail.com. The important thing to remember is that if it's for me, Devon Decker, or him, Sejohn Sarwick, you put our names into the subject line so that we know who to distribute it to. Just keep in mind that if you write something juicy in there to only one of us and we think it's worth talking about on the show, we're probably going to talk about it on the show. Keep in mind that anything submitted to the Say Report is open to being used to create content for the Say Report. And now our lawyers, who are even faker than the YouTube lawyers, though most of the YouTube lawyers are actually have law degrees. I'm just saying, don't always take law advice from a YouTube lawyer. Consult with an actual attorney, because things are different between the states and things. These are things you forget about. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. That all said, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. We will see you later this week for a very special episode on Thursday to everybody who's subscribed on our RSS feeds. But until then, William, please bring us home. Later.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.